This is WCM's Park Update, a weekly show covering the outdoor hospitality industry, hosted by Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. During each episode, you'll hear from special guests and campground experts on topics that will help your park flourish. WCM's Park Update is a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine.
Hi, I'm Ben Quiggle, editor of Woodall's Campground Magazine, and this is another episode of WCM's Park Update, sponsored by New Book Reservation Software Systems, and my co-host today, Mike Gast, is here, Vice President of Communications at Campgrounds of America, and he's having another wonderful day in sunny, warm Nebraska. So can't beat the Nebraska.
I'm trying to enjoy the fall.
Yeah.
I'm struggling, but I'm trying to enjoy the fall.
You got to go do a corn maze. So, hit a corn maze.
That's a lot of exercise.
That's a lot of exercise. But our guest today is Pamela Wright, the owner of Focused on Management. And Pamela, you have spoken at a number of different conferences. I know this year you're going to be speaking at Campground Owners Expo in Branson, Missouri at the end of November. And your company, Focused on Management, does consulting and project management and different types of work. I guess just explain to our audience a little bit about your history in the industry and how you kind of got to be the owner of Focused on Management, I guess.
Okay. Well, I started out, I've been around for 20 plus years. Hate to say that, but it's fact. I started out, my husband and I were working at what is now known as Lockheed Martin. The time came for him to retire and take early retirement. So we both left Lockheed and took some time to travel around in an RV, settled down for a little while because we were going to go back to our house, but it was leased out for another 3 months. So we stopped in Golden, Colorado, got kind of bored, and while we were there, someone came up and said, "Hey, if you guys are interested, they are looking for people to help at the park, and you got great qualifications, so it's a free site." And we kind of said, why not? It's a new adventure. So we started out as work campers working for site. That quickly moved into managing parks. From managing parks, we went to work. We worked with Bruce Bryant out of Legacy RV Resorts. We were working with him and moved into doing marketing for his 14 parks.
Okay.
At one point, it finally got to I can do this on my own, Bruce, rather than probably cost you a lot less. He agreed, so Focused Words was created at that point.
Okay.
So then recently I changed it over to Focused on Management because I began getting a lot of calls from new owners that needed help getting set up with their operations side of the house. So real quick, that's kind of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I've worked with Bruce before in my career too. He's a very intense guy and definitely likes excellence. And so that I applaud your background there. Do you see yourself as more of a entry level person for a smaller operation, or do you deal with some larger corporations too on the management side?
I've been dealing with larger corporations. To be honest, with the small parks, I help them as much as I can, but typically paying me to do what I do just blows their budget out of the water for a year. So I just give them as much advice as I can, and we kind of go from there.
Yeah. Do you have a mix of clients, ones who are like getting into the franchisees like KOA and Jellystone, or looking at Jellystone, or are you mainly working with like developers or park owners looking at just operating their own independent location?
I'm actually working more with independents. Jellystone and KOA have excellent departments that help you with that setup.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. I guess what are some of the things that you're dealing with when people come to you at the very beginning? I guess what are some of the bigger questions that they have, and how do you help them tackle those?
well, a lot of people come to me before they're even put the shovel in the ground. We talk about how they've got things planned out. I take a look at their plans, make sure that the way they have the park laid out makes sense. A lot of developers that have not been in the industry before or have not RV'd don't realize simple things like making sure there's enough space between your pad and the pedestal so that slides can come out. Planning, and this is one I tell everybody up front, plan today for EVs, for electric vehicles. Not necessarily the RVs, but the cars. If you plan it today for your electrical supply to be large enough that it can handle that additional usage, it's a whole lot cheaper than if you have to go in later. So those kinds of things goes from there to actually helping them get set up on their operations side. We go in and take a look, help them select their software, get policies and procedures in place down to the finest line we can go. And then also the simple things like what kind of hours do you need, what your social media looks like, all of that. And a big part of that is getting their staffing done.
Yeah.
So Pamela, do you see yourself as a campground designer then also? Do you get involved in the plans itself? I know in my past we used to run into campground owners once in a while that had 90-degree turns and on their campgrounds that
Yes.
into the sites that just couldn't be made. So you're out there with the schematics and making sure they have those right?
Yes. I've got a lot of my developers have come, and the same thing. Even the other thing I see a lot of, Mike, is people laying their sites out where you are backing into the site blind.
Okay.
Good way to take out pedestals.
Are a lot are your like newer development clients, are a lot of them going to those pull through sites versus the back end? I guess it probably depends on the location and what you can do with the land, right?
Yeah, it's usually a mix. The outside perimeter is back ends and the middle is pull throughs. It makes sense. It's easy, and then you've got the choice of the two.
Are you
So have you
seeing?
seen a trend towards larger pull-through sites as the rigs have gotten larger and also as the customer doesn't want to unhook their tow vehicle?
Yes, definitely larger. And one of the real keys is more space between pads. Older parks didn't need that much space between pads. Today we do because of slides and just that feeling of privacy.
So I'm sure it varies a lot, but what's your standard recommendation for space between pads?
A minimum of 25.
Mm.
And then preferably closer to 30, but minimum of 25.
Do you get any pushback on that? Did the people think that that's just going to be too far away and they're going to lose some revenue from site revenue?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And one of the things, the minute I start getting that pushback, I ask them to go rent an RV for one weekend, go park in a local park, and you'll understand what I'm talking about.
How about on the accommodation side? Do you get involved in consulting on the types of accommodations they should have there beyond the RV sites?
Sure. Yeah, the big thing with so many people are grabbing hold of the glamping term, and assuming that they can put in a park model and call it a glamping unit, not understanding there's a big difference. It's a lot like years ago when everybody grabbed hold of the idea of calling yourself a resort, but not providing resort amenities.
Yeah.
Same thing with glamping.
Well, do you think like a park model unit could be considered a glamping unit as long as you have the hospitality features to go with it?
You have to have the hospitality features, and it can't look like a bare bones hotel room. You need to have some decoration in there. You need to have something that you walk in the door and you go, "Ooh, look at this." Not just walk in the door and say, "Okay, let's unpack."
So, what do you think is the biggest mistake that a new owner makes as they're starting to plan their future in the park?
The biggest one I've seen is the basic understanding of the industry, understanding the difference between overnight, destination, and extended stay. And that it's quite okay to have all three, but understand what you're going to provide and what those terms mean. So many people just assume that extended stay is going to mean a mobile home park. That's not necessarily true. It's very possible that your extended stay is going to be traveling nurses. It's going to
Yeah.
be people coming in for projects, those kinds of things.
Okay. You know, are you seeing more developers? Yeah, we had the Sun Communities release come out
Mm-hmm.
here recently, where it looks like they're transitioning more to longer term sites versus the transient. They're transitioning more sites. Are you noticing that among developers? Is there kind of a shift going on where people are looking more at those seasonal long term sites, or is transient still pretty popular, I guess?
Actually, yes, you're correct. I'm seeing more people uh, looking at developing long-term parks. But again, it's a part of that. I know I've got a guaranteed income.
Yeah.
Um, my recommendation with most parks is plan 3 different levels. Plan that overnight stay where you're going to have a higher touch. Plan that uh, destination where people are coming in to visit family. Plan that extended stay and understand that there is that group out there called seasonals, and that's not the same as extended stay.
Yeah. Well, can you separate the distance, I guess, between extended stay and seasonals, just for our audience, I
Sure,
guess?
sure. Extended stay is where people are coming in, particularly to stay for a period of time that's undefined.
Yeah.
Um, Seasonal is actually where someone will come in with their unit. They will rent out, pay for a site for 6 months, 9 months,
Mhm.
a year. Typically, the ones I've seen is there's a 1 year agreement, even though the park may only be open 6 months, so that they can leave their RV on site and come visit it whenever they feel like it without additional charges.
Are you seeing, uh, as we go throughout our daily news searches, there are municipalities that definitely have issues with longer term stays and they have some very strict rules on that kind of stuff. Do you see more municipalities kind of working with these parks and finding ways for them to do like these extended stays?
It depends on the area.
Yeah.
If you're in a NIMBY area where your neighborhood just flat out doesn't want an RV park of any kind there, you're going to have a problem getting around that. Excuse me. if you're in an area where the county commissioners or if you're in Louisiana, it's your parish jurors, understand that this brings in profit, then there's a lot less pushback. It's more concern, and one of the big things you can do to help with that concern is explain that you're going to have a 10-year or newer plan in place for the RVs, so that it gets rid of that idea that it's going to look like a rundown mobile home park.
Okay.
So has the advent of the explosion of interest, I guess, in glamping, has that given you another client base to work with, of people that are wanting to start an exclusively glamping facility? Do they partake of your services too, Pamela?
I haven't heard of or been contacted a lot. I've had a couple of clients that are looking at glamping only. The property they are purchasing is set up for cabins, yurts, that kind of thing. So I have had some experience with those. The basic operations doesn't change tremendously. The marketing side of the house does.
Okay.
Could you expand on that a little bit? What are the big differences between the marketing and glamping and traditional camping?
With glamping, you're going to be more in tune with companies like Airbnb or Vibro, whereas with parks, with RV parks, I really encourage them to do more marketing with Google, with Facebook, with those whole digital side of the house, as opposed to Airbnb.
Okay.
And that's mainly because of the way they divide up their marketing, Airbnb and Vibro. It gets a little difficult to find RV sites when you first log into Airbnb.
Okay. Yeah. And they take certain percentages too, although all the OTAs do. But like your Spot Tonight or like your Booking Outdoors, those are a little bit more RV focused, I guess, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll take a break. We have to recognize our sponsor, New Book, and then we will be back with Pamela in a minute.
Calling all campground operators, owners, front desk heroes, say hello to your show sponsor, New Book, your connected hospitality management solution packed with the power to streamline your operations, maximize revenue, increase bookings, and deliver memorable guest experiences. Thanks to its suite of innovative and easy-to-use tools, backed by an expert customer support team cheering you on 24/7. So if you're ready to level up your campground and unlock more opportunities, head to newbook.cloud to start your journey today.
Hi, I'm Ben Quiggle. Welcome back to WCM's Park Update, and we are speaking with Pamela Wright, the owner of Focused on Management, about some of her consulting work. I guess, Pamela, we spoke a little bit about some of the things you talk about when you first get a client, some of your different clients, some of the different trends. I guess, what are some of the big mistakes that you are seeing resort or park owners make, or developers? What are some of the big mistakes you hear about that maybe other developers want to think about before they make a mistake, I guess?
A couple of things, and we've already covered the physical issues I've seen, but on the operational side, not understanding how long it takes to set up that operational side of the house, not understanding the need for detailed written policies and procedures, kind of playing it by ear. Whatever we need, we'll take care of. Staffing is another huge one, not understanding that if you're going to open for the season in May, you need to have your managers in place 2 to 3 months in front of that to get everything going and headed in the right direction. It takes a lot of time. There's 6 to 8 weeks just to set up the reservation system.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
definitely.
staffing and finding the work campers, all of that side of the house.
I know.
Let's talk about staffing for a minute. I'm sure over the last 20 years that's changed a lot, and depending on the market, it can be quite difficult to find staff even if you're looking for them. Do you often run into campground owners that think that they can do it themselves or with just one or two staff members, and you look at the operation and go, "There's no way."
Actually, I see more of the opposite, where they think they can hire the staff to take care of it and it's all passive income.
Okay.
Not really. Uh, that doesn't quite work, especially people buying into small parks, parks that are 50, 60 sites, and they want to pay a full-time manager plus a landscaper plus maintenance, and it quickly adds up to there goes all your profit. You're not going to get any.
I mean, I guess when when I talk to park owners, a lot of them are interested about the work campers, and I guess you used to work camp to some degree, right? Or
Yes.
travel around. I guess what are some of the ways park owners can engage and find work campers? Because I know that's a question I get a lot, is park owners asking if there's any resources out there to find work campers or to identify good work campers, I guess.
Sure. Of course, there's workcamper.com,
Yeah.
which has been around for years.
Yep.
There's a lot of, I recommend people, managers, owners, joining a lot of the Facebook groups that are out there for work campers. Word of mouth is the best thing going. Once you have a happy work camper, they're going to recommend you to their friends that are coming through the area. They're going to help you find those additional work campers. But the other thing on the other side of it that I'd like to make a point to is I always recommend very seriously that you have your staff living on site, that you're not hiring local help to come in and manage the park. Main reason being, if you have your manager living on site, you know there is somebody there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that knows what's going on in the park. It provides that level of security. It also provides that comfort zone for your guests.
Okay.
What about is there a clientele that you serve that is prepping their park for sale and they know they have some operational problems or some physical problems, but they don't quite know how to fix it?
Sure. I've got a lot of those. I've also kind of the same thing. They've bought the park. They were absolutely convinced they knew how to run it, but they've never gotten the ROI. So they have to say, what's going on? What do we need to do? How do we fix this? I've got a client in Mississippi right now with that kind of issue.
Have you ever worked with a company, worked with a developer or whatever to find a management company to help them manage the park?
Actually, the way I work is rather than there's, well, let's see, there's a different way of looking at this from my viewpoint. There's a good reason to have a third-party management company. There's some very good ones out there. But on the other side of it, I also believe that you can get that same level if you hire managers and expect them to manage. Don't expect them to be clerks at the front desk, but actually put in place that you want them to manage the park. At that point, that's what we do initially, is come in, set up that operations side, find those managers that can manage, and then we move into a monitoring position where we ensure that the monies that's supposed to be going into the bank is physically making it into the bank, that your digital footprint is clean, that the manager is doing the job they should be doing.
Are you seeing managers coming in out of college ready for these types of jobs? Or are we seeing this as a career path for even younger people instead of just a second or third career at the end of their work life?
Absolutely. It's a great, great career. But you need to be willing to start at the bottom and work up. I will always, always preach, start your people out, let them spend a month behind the desk before you move them up anyplace else. Spend a month out there with your maintenance guys digging those holes before you move them to that next step. Get to know everything there is from the bottom up.
And you have an area on your website, I believe, where people can apply and post jobs, I guess, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a pretty good resource. I mean, there's really not a big hiring board for the industry. I think National ARVIC has a hiring board of some kind, but I don't know how much they do with it. And that's something that's kind of really lacking in the industry to some degree.
Well, I think a lot of folks have relied on the work camper force for so long that when somebody identifies themselves as a professional manager, and it's not a couple, it's a professional manager, there really isn't anything in the industry that helps them move along if they don't link up with a company or a firm like KOA.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
The other problem that there is with the ARVIC site is that typical work campers are not going to be members of ARVIC.
Yeah.
That's going to be your campground owners. So it's difficult for them to post resumes, to see the information, all that side of it.
Yep. Okay. Well, how do people connect with you, Pamela? I know you have your website, focusedonmanagement.com. Do you have like an email or a phone number people can contact you with?
Sure. The email is P like Pamela Wright, WRIGHT, at focusedonmgmt.com. So you don't have to spell the whole word out. And then you can call also, it's code 337-735-4070. And I'm at extension 101. I have a couple of other employees at the other extensions.
And Pamela has a wide array of industry experience. You know a lot of key people. Of course, I'll be at the Campground Owners Expo, and I'll be able to hear you speak at the end of November. And I'm also speaking at the conference. So if anybody wants to take a quick nap, I don't know my room number for my session, but you can come take a quick nap while
You better invest in some good refreshments, Ben.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yep, go ahead.
The Campground Owners is December 6th through the 9th.
Yep. Well, no, the Campground Owners is November. Sorry. Now I have to look it up real quick. It is at the end of November through the 2nd, I believe.
Okay. I'll go with you.
Don't be late. So it's November 29th through December 2nd. So in Branson, Missouri. So we solved that on air. So but it was great getting to chat with you, Pamela. And I look forward to seeing you at the COE. And thanks everyone for watching. And we'll see everyone back next week.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you for listening to WCM's Park Update, a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Join us for a new show each Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn for daily news and updates, and subscribe to our news feed on our website at woodallscm.com. Show hosts are Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. Executive producers Rick Kessler and Alex Burkett. Copyright 2022, G&G Media Group.